There's about 20 people there. And there was a young man there, I guess probably 27 or something like that. I can do better. You see, if I put $10,000 into your life insurance policy, I can't get to it all the next day or so forth. But if I put $10,000 in a savings account, I can get to it the next day. And God provides. I had a fantastic example that'll help him adjust his perspective. There was a orthopedic surgeon there. Doctor, can you help this young man adjust his perspective on this? How many years did you go to college? 4. How many years did you go to medical school? 4. How many years did you go to internship and residency? 8. How much money did you make during those 16 years? He says, I accumulated a debt of $450,000. See, people, they understand that, but yet when it comes down to simple thing like banking, they lose all perspective. And it's all because of a mindset. And that mindset predominates out there and has done so, like Paul Rosenberg puts out in Fish of the Last and Notice the Water. It's been going on for something like 5,000 to 6,000 years, and you cannot break that cycle easily. You got to learn how to secede from it and realize that you do not have to play their game at all. It's amazing how people look at the Bible. Look, man, there's 66 books there, and most of them in the Old Testament. The Old Testament's real thick. The New Testament's only yay thick. All right, now, why y'all want to study that Old Testament stuff? That's a long time ago. That's describing the problem of man in relation to his maker. That's what it's all about. The Bible is the story of man's relationship to his maker. He's got a problem. Man does. He wants to be God. Yet God had to give him. He created us for fellowship with him. Now, you can't have fellowship with a puppet. That's impossible because the puppet is you. So he had to give us free will. Well, that included the ability to reject him. So what is our normal tendency? Reject him. And that's what it's all about. See, that's the Old Testament covers 4,000 years. There's 400 years between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Nothing was written pertinent to the central message of the Bible during that time. There were other writings, of course. Do you realize that the New Testament only covers about 75 years? That is all. Now, what happens when Jesus Christ appears on the scene? They knew there's a Messiah coming, but what they saw didn't meet their specs. He didn't meet their specifications. What's he teaching? Secession. There's no evidence that during that period of introspection of him out there in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights with Satan, that maybe my best way to pull off this mission that I've got to change the hearts of men, I need to go get up with those Pharisees and get a PhD like under Gamaliel, like St. Paul did later on. There's no evidence at all. To the contrary, totally different. In this world, but not of this world. Just don't play their game. All right, now when you don't play their game out there, it's a simple life, really. And it's very profitable compared with everything else because you see, so much of what we do in life out there has absolutely no function at all. It's just excess baggage that we have to put up with because of the way that we don't think. And one of the easiest things to do is get rid of the bankers out there. Don't be paying interest. Well, you got to start to learn how to grow the business. It doesn't take all that long to really get started. But there's no reason not to have continuous growth all the time. And when you get to my stage of life, that it's the best way in the world to pass the medium of exchange on to the next generation. We had 49 policies at one time. We're down to 24 now.
I've heard you say that at this stage in your life that you're in the process of giving things away.
Yes, you can't take this stuff with you. Good grief. Maybe we'll be covering that sometime later in our session, that I'll show you how I've been teaching Mary how to be a widow and the evolution of my thinking as to how to go about this and things that occurred to me. It didn't occur to me before. I was thinking the way that everybody else thinks to a degree. Mm-hmm. To a degree, yeah.
You had me thinking there for a moment about a comment that you make in the book that this is not about investments of any kind.
No.
Yet there seems to be an urge out there that people read the book, whether it's someone from the general public or whether it's a life licensed advisor, there seems to be an urge there to bring it to a level where it's being compared to a number of different investments.
Tragically, well, that's that mindset that prevails out there. You see, really, the infinite banking concept is about learning how to live combined with the Christian belief of life. And this is what DeSoto puts together so beautifully that, like I say, that guy's mind and my mind, they're duplicates of one another. I just get so fascinated by learning more about this man. But it's learning how to live is what it means more than anything else.
You know what I think, Nelson, is that in addition to what you've just said, it seems to me that there has to be a fundamental understanding that there's a difference between the process and the vehicle that's utilized to implement the process. Because in the financial world, participating dividend-paying whole life policies have been a product that has been compared to other investment products. And so the key teaching point must be that a person understands that a process is never an investment.
True, exactly. But you see, the problem is with words. We got the word insurance. Now, every other form of insurance out there is expressing what would happen if something should happen during a time frame. For instance, should this house burn during a time frame? If and time frame. All right. A life is not if, it's when. It should never have been called life insurance because that's not what it is. It's really a personal monetary system with a death benefit thrown in on the side just for the heck of it. That's a rather long name, but they've been far more accurate. We wouldn't have all this nonsense. But see, again, that's the problem is that man, for some reason or another, has that tendency to change the meaning of words. For instance, in our country today, the definition of home ownership is that you have title to a piece of property, but you owe more on it than it's worth. That's home ownership. No way. But yet, that has occurred, see. People don't realize what a slave they have become as a result of the way that they're taught and as a result of how they implement their felonious teaching that they run into. It's not teaching, it's indoctrination.
So this is all about how one finances things in life, which can certainly include investments.
Sure, but again, yes. Yeah, in fact, any investment should be made from here. It's just like something else that we will run into later on in the book big time. That's EVA, economic value added. We don't have time to address that right now. It's not the appropriate place for it. Again, I designed the book to teach progressively. You got to understand this to be able to go to this level, to understand this, to be able to understand this, so forth. And so by the time we get out there to the infinite qualities of it, there's unbelievable things that are easily possible, but people just haven't thought of them. They don't think of it this way, that's all.